They ate together, and at dawn slaughtered their hosts. In Glencoe, 1692, legitimate orders met illegitimate execution under the roof of hospitality. Was it war? Was it duty? Or was it the bitterest lesson on how the role of the state can legitimize an act that memory never absolves? Today we open the dossier that Scottish history has transformed into a moral verdict, the Glencoe massacre. Scotland, 1691-1692. After the Glorious Revolution, the crown of William III, 1650-1702, King of England, Scotland, and Ireland, he consolidated power after deposing James VII's head, demanded oaths of loyalty from Highland clans by a deadline. Among the chieftains was Alistair MacDonalds of Glencoe, c. 1645-1692, chieftain of the MacDonalds of Glencoe, a local leader in an isolated valley known for disputes with neighbors. Bureaucracy has faces. Sir John Dalrymple, 1648-1707, Secretary of State for Scotland, advocate of a hard pacification in the Highlands, sees punitive example as an instrument of order. The deadline passes amidst snow, travel, and cross-office correspondence. MacIain's oath is recorded late, and late, in the right office, can mean never on the map of punishment. Our axis, document, mechanism, motive, consequence, legacy. The question, what orders authorized the action in Glencoe? How were they read by those who executed them? And why did hospitality, the unwritten law of the Highlands, become the tribunal that condemned the act forever? The administrative chronology is simple on paper and devastating in the valley. Proclamations and deadlines, the Crown sets deadlines for oaths. Failure to comply implies being out of the peace. MacIain's oath, the chief sets off in the snow, swears late before civil military authority. For some books, it's recorded. For others, it's not recorded in time. The difference between recorded and valid opens space for biased interpretation. Exemplary orders, based on the idea of exemplary. Punishment for recalcitrants, commissions, orders are issued to act against certain clans. The vocabulary avoids names until the last line, but addresses Glencoe. Lodging under the Crown's abbreviation, troops enter as guests. The right of local hospitality, eating the bread, accepting the broth, sleeping under the roof, creates an unwritten moral pact. The orders don't mention it. Those executing it know it exists. The paper legitimizes the action. The method of action is the choice of, whoever reads the order on the ground. And that's where the archive and memory diverge. The written word permits, conscience judges. The paper follows a path that seems neutral, but isn't. Proclamations define deadlines. Local officials collect oaths. Secretariats record them. Regimental commands receive specific orders. Between these layers, a simple question decides destinies. Was Alistair MacIain's oath merely late or invalid? At the table, this dilemma becomes an administrative opportunity. Sir John Dalrymple, a man of the cabinet with cold language, advocates for an example that reverberates in the Highlands. The authorization does not describe knives at dawn under someone else's roof. It describes the need to punish non-compliance. Those who transform the letter into method are the readers of the order in the valley, field officers who know that in the Highlands, guest and enemy cannot coexist without memory demanding its due. Why does Glencoe endure for centuries as a moral verdict? Because three layers come together. Formal legality. The Crown demanded oaths and published deadlines. Non-compliance brought sanction. On the level of the decree, there is predictability. Whoever stays outside the peace is subject to force. Choice of method. The execution of the sanction stems from local choices. Approaching as guests, accepting bread and broth, sleeping under the roof, only to arrest, kill, and burn at dawn. The written order did not mandate this method. The method was chosen by whoever read the order with the aim of making the act an example without open combat. Unwritten law. In the Highlands, hospitality is a community norm predating the Crown. Eating together creates truce. The roof suspends enmities for the duration of the shelter. By violating this norm, the operation produced something that no official document can erase: the perception of ritual betrayal. The institutional result is paradoxical. In the archives, the action finds a framework of legality. In memory, it finds a sentence of illegitimacy. This friction, a document that absolves, a right that condemns, explains why Glencoe was never alone in the 17th century. follow the calculation of the benefit, crown and cabinet, a show of force intended to discipline reluctant clans and reduce the costs of continuous garrison. Every valley that bows to the deadline cheapens the government. Scottish Secretary of State, Dalrymple consolidates the image of efficient order, a governanceable Scotland, in the eyes of William III and parliamentarians attentive to results, not valley nuances. Local commands. Careers advance when clean operations in the archives show compliance with orders without major personal casualties. Concise reports yield promotions. Regional rivals. Clans with long-standing disputes with the MacDonalds of Glencoe see the punishment as a rearrangement of routes, pastures, and prestige. The exemplary sanction has economic side effects. Who really loses when they survive? Trust. After Glencoe, bread becomes proof, not a bridge. Lodging now requires guarantees that the local culture didn't need before. The central administration gains obedience. Society loses its fabric. The example leaves a trail that the bureaucracy knows well. Concise reports justifying material losses, burned houses, scattered livestock, tables of absences with routine vocabulary, official letters requesting resupply and bonuses. In parallel, petitions arrive from survivors, letters from clergymen, and memos from officials uncomfortable with the method. The office chooses what to file as suit and what to file as noise. Fact, the deadline was violated, or read as such. Noise, the way one ate before arresting. But outside the folder, the noise becomes a body of memory. It passes from mouth to mouth and becomes the chapter that no official summary contains. 15, 18. Turning point and consequences, VO. When Parliament and the King are forced to look at the Valley, the narrative splits in two, legality and legitimacy. Committees inquire who signed, when, with what knowledge of the belated oath. The name of Sir John Dalrymple appears and reappears as the architecture of the example. The political result is neither a simple acquittal nor a full condemnation. It is the embarrassment that translates into changes of seat, recommendations, and, over time, a request for moral reparation that does not balance the accounts. Practical consequences. Adjustments to the procedures for registering oaths and transmissions between civil and military offices, fewer loopholes for belated to become never. Explicit caution regarding the use of hospitality as a tactic, not out of altruism, but out of calculation. Any victory obtained under someone else's roof exacts political interest. Reinforcement of the distinction between execution and method in field manuals. The order may be clear. The manner of carrying it out matters. Glencoe does not survive as statistics. It survives as a lesson. A lesson that legitimate orders can generate illegitimate executions when they cross cultures with strong unwritten laws. A lesson that hospitality is more than convention. It is a rule of social order. A lesson, finally, that a state that ignores local rights wins in writing and loses in memory. Minimal precision, there were proclamations with deadlines. Alastair MacIain's oath was late and poorly processed. Exemplary orders were executed by hosted troops. Operation resulted in deaths and burns at dawn. Subsequent debate acknowledged administrative flaws and disapproved of the method, without the archive renouncing the formal legality of the sanction. If a banquet can become a courtroom, what can a widow and a testimony do to an entire court? In the next episode, the widow's testimony, the voice that toppled favorites. When a woman without a sword used paper, time, and courage to rewrite hierarchies.